And we're back. Last time, we got reacquainted with the beginning of the game, and then I decided that was boring, so now we are just skipping through to try and find the new hashtag content. Try to get through the captain's room as quickly as I can. Find whatever new conversations there are. Is there a problem? Let's see. I'm gonna say, yeah, there is. Thanks for the posture check, hydrate, and stretch, Guzzy.
Yeah, there is.
Ace's eyebrows went up.
You checked on us. Now get out of here. We split this stuff up for a reason, alright?
It's funny, this feels like it's coming out of nowhere, but like, now that we know what a piece of shit Ace is, it can...
We didn't have to split up the work.
It can, going through the game at 2 times speed, Nightcore gameplay.
I just want to talk to Clover alone. That's why I sent Ace to the wheelhouse. There's something I want to ask her, and I don't want anyone to overhear us. I'm pretty sure Clover won't talk if there's anyone else around. That's why when Ace showed up again, I got a little desperate. I had to make him leave.
Ace opened his mouth, then took another look at Junpei and shut it again. A small smirk appeared on his face.
Oh, I see, of course.
He looked Junpei over, then glanced at Clover.
I apologize for the intrusion.
Why would you think...
Well, best of luck.
Again, speaking to what a piece of shit Ace is, that he's like, oh, of course, I see, you're trying to hit on the girl whose brother just exploded. Of course, that's what's going on. Okay, new text. Junpei let out a sigh and brushed a few drops of sweat from his forehead. He turned and found himself looking straight into Clover's eyes. She'd heard what Ace had said. She regarded Junpei with caution.
What was that about?
She was clearly suspicious, and with good reason.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Junpei's eyes widened, and he held up his hands in a gesture of innocence.
Oh, no, it's not like that.
What's it like then?
I just wanted to hear the rest of that story. I didn't get a chance to ask you about it until now.
What story?
About the experiment, remember? The one you started to tell me in the operating room? You said something about an experiment that happened here 9 years ago.
Clover bit her lip. She stared down at the floor for several long moments, and when she spoke, it was barely audible.
I'm sorry, but
.com. Sorry.
I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm just not in the mood, okay? You understand, right? I keep thinking about my brother. I can't stop. I mean, who would do something like that to my brother? I can't forgive them. I'm not gonna let them get away with it. They're gonna pay for it. I promise. So...
Her shoulders were shaking. Drops of blood had sprung up on her lips where she was biting them. She wiped it off and looked up at Junpei, her eyes fierce and angry.
Junpei, who do you think did it?
Her voice was cold and scarcely above a whisper. Junpei gulped.
Well, if what Seven said was right, then there would have to be at least 2 of them. You need at least 3 people to open the numbered doors, and if you subtract Snake, that means there were at least 2 other people.
You're right. So, what does that mean?
Well, if we just look at the bracelet numbers, we should be able to figure it out. Who could have opened door 3 with Snake? Well, really, who and who, or who and who?
You mean it could have been 4 people?
Did you just turn into an owl, Junpei?
Well, technically it's possible.
I don't know. That doesn't seem very likely.
Why?
I'll tell you later. Why don't we just assume it was only 2 other people for now?
Okay, got it. Let's do that then.
Then who do you think it could be?
Junpei crossed his arms in thought. Snake's bracelet number was 2. Which 2 bracelet numbers added to 2 will give a digital root of 3? Oh my god. Ace and Santa?
Ace and Santa?
I don't feel like doing math.
Snake, Ace, and Santa is 6. No, they wouldn't be able to open door 3.
Oops.
Maybe.
Ace and Jude?
Ace and June. The digital root for Snake, Ace, and June. Nope, they couldn't open. Besides,
No.
there's no way in hell June is a murderer. Damn, I need to think it over again.
Ace and 7.
Maybe Ace and 7? The digital root for Snake
No.
aren't the right ones. But in that case,
Ace and
maybe Ace
Lotus.
and Lotus? The digital root for
No.
not 3. Then which 2 could?
Santa and
Santa
7.
and 7.
Oh.
The digital root for Snake, Santa, and 7 is 3. Wait, hold on. Are Santa and 7 the killers?
What's
Nope.
wrong?
We already know this because Ace explained he used the bracelet from the 9th man. He was the one who did it. Clover looked at Junpei and he looked back at her. There was no point in hiding it.
Well, I thought about it, and
He told her his conclusions.
That's what I thought.
She looked less surprised than he'd expected. Obviously she was better at math and she just already figured it out.
Santa and 7. If it was 2 people, then that's the only combination that works.
hey, wait a minute there. Don't you think it's a little too early to be jumping to conclusions? Well, all I said is that those 2 would have been able to open door 3 with your brother. There might be other possibilities.
Well, what other possibilities?
If Ace went back to the body of the 9th man and took his bracelet. He didn't have an answer. He was ready to admit defeat when Clover spoke.
Are you saying you think that it was 3 or 4 people? I really don't think that's likely.
Why not?
Can I borrow your pen and paper?
Clover put her hand out expectantly.
Yeah, here.
Junpei pulled out his pen and pad of paper and handed them to her. She opened the notebook and wrote down several simple addition problems. Eventually she had 8, which provided a digital root of 3. Okay, yeah, math. Yeah.
What's this?
These are the combinations for 3 or 4 people. These 8 combinations are the only possible ones.
Oh, I see.
Junpei,
Yeah?
I can trust you, right?
Of course. Why would you need to ask that?
Really?
Yeah.
So then I should get rid of B, D, G, and H, right?
Of course. Just cross them out. And you should take off yours too. The ones with 4.
So, what does that leave?
A and E.
Okay, so that would be, I mean, not that any of this
It can't
matters.
be
But, can't be
Why?
A.
Because June's in that one. There's no way in hell she'd do something like that.
Are you sure?
I'd bet my life on it.
Okay then. I can cross off A too, right?
Yeah.
Well, what have we got left?
E.
So just everyone, everyone did
You know
it.
what this means?
Everyone besides me, you, and June would be working together.
Do you think that's likely? If there were 4 people working together, they wouldn't be very cautious. I don't think they'd try that hard to hide what they were doing if they outnumbered us, right?
Well, you do have a point.
And besides, if Ace and 7 are working together, they could have easily gotten rid of me when I went to the shower room with them. But they didn't. They didn't even try anything. If they were killers, why wouldn't they?
Her voice was calm, but Junpei had only to look her in the eye to know it was a forced calm. There were tears forming at the corners of her eyes, and she was blinking furiously to keep them back. Perhaps by attempting an objective analysis of who might have killed her brother, she had been able to distance herself from the harsh reality of his death. The more she struggled to act unconcerned, the more Junpei felt his heart tighten.
Oh, I see. Anyway, I understand now. It seems pretty unlikely that it was as many as 3 or 4 people.
Yeah,
And that means there's a good chance it was Santa and Seven.
that's how it looks.
But why would they do it?
There was a moment of silence.
Their motive.
He laid his hand gently on her shoulder. He was close, so close to the answer. When Ace chose the worst possible moment to return. He raised a knowing eyebrow and then spoke.
Have I interrupted something?
What is it?
There was something I wanted to speak with you about, Junpei. Could you come with me for a moment?
He turned on his heel and walked back toward the wheelhouse.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Junpei looked over at Clover. He gave her a short nod, hoped that she would be willing to talk to him again later, and followed Ace.
What did you want to talk about?
Have we seen this? No. Ace looked at Junpei and smiled. Perhaps more of a smirk than a smile.
There was something I wanted to check.
Yeah? What's that?
If you'll excuse me.
With no warning, Ace slipped his hand into the pocket of Junpei's vest.
Hey, what the hell are you doing?
I'm just checking.
No,
Okay.
stop!
Okay, yeah, this is the thing about how, Junpei rigged that thing. He reached for Ace's arm, but it was already too late. In the older man's hand were the pieces of paper Junpei had balled up and hidden in his
Just as I
pocket.
thought. What exactly are these pieces of paper hiding in your pocket? You switched them, didn't you, when we voted? Well, I can't say that I care. I managed to get through the numbered door I wanted, despite your mischief.
Then, why did you...
Oh, simple curiosity. I hope you won't think ill of me for it.
Ace smiled, gave Junpei a friendly pat on the shoulder. I like how the pat on the shoulder had a sound effect, and then turned on his heel and left. It was a small defeat, but it was a defeat. Junpei had lost the upper hand, and he knew it. He could feel his stomach begin to tense.
Damn.
Okay. Now, was that the conversation we needed? It was. So, yeah, we don't have to do the rest of the room again. Let's go! Captain's quarters. Go to another escape room. Okay, now presumably we're going to be able to stop Clover from killing everyone. Because that's what happened on this path last time, was the axe ending. So I guess in this room we're gonna have some conversations. Let's see. There's blood on the chair. This was the dead guys, yeah. Door. No dice. It doesn't matter what I push here, it's not working. Don't think the power's on. Camera. Camcorder. Looks like it's pointed at the door. Power's on. Why would someone want to videotape a door? Doesn't look like this one's recording anything. What do you mean? It's just sending whatever it sees to something. What does it see? The door. Table, we got a music box. It's one of those little music boxes. How about we wind it up? Why does it sound like that? Is it broken? Pins on the cylinder are shaped all weird. Right, it's Morse code. I'm gonna take it apart to figure out what's going on. We need, like, what, a screwdriver or something to take it apart? Music box. Okay. Yeah, I guess we need, like, a screwdriver or something. Bed. Nothing in it. Chair. Desk. Whoops. Clicked on something. Let's deal with this. Some kind of code. 4 rows of numbers and letters. They'll start with 0, end with 8F, enter V. So I do with number bases. Yeah, like hexadecimal or whatever. Material's been added. There's a bunch of weird buttons on here. They probably switch what you see on the screens. Do you know how to work this thing? Why don't we just press one of these, like this one? 0. What the hell is this? Isn't this the door on the screen? You're right. Whatever the camera sees. I wonder if that means something. Z.
Huh.
Oh, heh. Oh, okay, we've seen this.
Well,
right,
even if he wasn't
Oh.
one of us, there's no way that man could be Zero.
Okay, different dialogue.
Huh?
Don't you get it? The letters that spell Zero on the TV screen, the captain's clothes he's got on, and of course, the bracelet with a 0 on it. It's too obvious. Look, this is Zero right here. This dead body is Zero. Isn't that kind of fishy?
You're right. Only an idiot wouldn't see through something like that.
No, that's not the point. So I'm not trying to make fun of them for thinking a trick like this would work. I'm sure they didn't think it would work, which makes me wonder. I think this is a challenge.
Oh, okay.
A challenge from the person who's really behind all of this. He's making fun of us. Don't you get it? If whoever killed this guy really wanted us to think this corpse was Zero, they'd never have put a bracelet on him. Walking around with a 0 bracelet would be like hanging a sign around your neck that said, "I did it!" Anyone with a brain would be able to see that this guy is supposed to look like everything Zero is supposed to be.
I'm trying to remember the guy that everyone thinks is Snake, the guy who exploded. Well, the second guy who exploded. Did he also have a bracelet with a 0 on it? I don't remember.
Just like we did.
Or did he just have the 2? Like, did he just have Snake's bracelet?
The killer must have known we wouldn't think he was Zero and put the bracelet on him anyway.
Is it still new?
Do you know why?
Why?
Like I said, he's mocking us. Too bad, suckers, this isn't Zero. Where's the real me then? See if you can catch me.
Nice 0 voice, Junpei.
It's the same bad joke a lot of criminals like to play. They'll just sit back and watch people run in circles.
That's really twisted. But it almost seems kind of childish.
Yeah, you're right. It's really childish. It's like it's just a game to whoever this person is. That's what seems funny to me.
Junpei bent down next to the corpse.
Alright, let's get back to the point. Who killed this man?
I don't know.
And what's this guy's deal? Who is he?
How would I know that? If I knew anything, I would have told you.
You have no idea who he is.
Why would I?
Junpei sat back on his haunches and thought.
We should check and see if he's got anything on him that might tell us who he is. Give me a hand here, Clover.
Huh?
We gotta flip him over. How else are we gonna search his pockets?
Clover didn't move.
Okay, fine. Guess I'll do it.
Junpei had no choice but to move the body on his own.
Here we go.
He grabbed hold of an area not completely covered in blood and shoved. It took a moment, but eventually Junpei felt the man's bulk begin to shift. But just as it did, something fell from the man's left wrist.
Hey, it's the
bracelet with 0 on the face.
Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelet. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1. You escape from this ship. 2. More likely, which is 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confine of the ship, or the backside of the mirror's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically.
Right, it can, like... that they really wanted to disguise their voice. It's, like, barely even, like, understandable.
Oh, God.
Junpei stared at the bracelet.
This man... he's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, Junpei! He is!
Huh?
No, it's just... I guess I didn't really think about it until right now. If his bracelet's off, that means he's dead.
Well, it's pretty obvious that he's dead. You don't really need to look at his bracelet to figure out that he's dead.
Yeah. I guess you're right. It is pretty obvious. Well, he looks a lot better than the other bodies we've seen, though. You know?
Junpei.
I mean, if there wasn't all this blood, he'd almost look like he was still alive.
Junpei, just stop talking.
I know it's kind of a messed up thing to say, but he kind of has it better, you know? Dying from a bomb going off inside of you, I mean, that's just...
Junpei.
Some of Snake's bones went right through his skin.
Junpei!
I think the explosion must have thrown him against a wall or something. There was a broken bone just sticking out of his left arm.
Stop telling her! Suddenly Junpei realized what he was saying. How could he have been so cruel? He clapped his hands over his mouth. But it was already too late. He turned to look at Clover. She was glaring at him furiously. That doesn't really match the sprite, but okay.
What did you just say?
Her words sounded cold. He knew an apology could hardly atone for what he'd done, but he tried anyway.
Oh man, I am so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I really don't know what I was thinking. I mean...
No, that's not what I'm talking about. What did you say about his arm?
Oh!
Arm?
Junpei's, rudeness actually pays off.
Yes, his left arm. You said it, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did, but...
This is how we get Clover to not kill everyone.
I mean, didn't you see it too?
Of course not. I could barely look at him. There's no way I was gonna see the details.
Clover took a quick, deep breath.
Are you sure it was his left arm?
Junpei thought back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
And he had a broken bone, right?
What the hell are you getting at here?
Just shut up and answer me!
She shoved her face closer to his. He could see the fire in her eyes. Junpei winced and swallowed.
Yeah, he did. It was pretty bad, too. The bone was sticking out of the arm.
No sooner were the words out of his mouth than Clover's expression changed.
Clover? What's wrong? Look, I'm sorry if I said anything.
Suddenly, she was crying. Junpei wasn't sure what to do.
Thank you.
It was close to the last thing he had expected to hear.
Huh? What are you...
Junpei had no idea what had just happened. He didn't think he'd done anything worthy of thanks, and he couldn't understand why she would have chosen that moment to begin crying. So he simply stood there, confused.
Thank you so much, Junpei.
She thanked him again, and then something even stranger happened. Clover threw herself into Junpei's surprised arms.
Hey, what's going on with you?
I'm sorry, it's just... I'm so happy!
Why?
The body in the shower room, it isn't his! It isn't my brother!
Huh?
It's not Snake!
Why on earth would you think that?
Because his left arm is...
She stopped herself.
I'm sorry. I really shouldn't be talking about this.
Junpei decided it would be prudent not to press her for any more information. If she did not wish to tell him, she certainly had a reason for doing so. Perhaps more importantly, however, if Clover was so certain, then she was likely right. That meant that the body in the shower room wasn't Snake. Why doesn't she want to say that he has a prosthetic arm? I don't... whatever. It wasn't much, but that knowledge lifted some of the weight from Junpei's heart.
But he's still alive. I'm so happy.
Tears shone in her eyes. Those tears melted Junpei's heart. As she cried, she had pushed herself up against his chest, like a child. Junpei put his arms around her and held her tight.
I'm so glad.
Huh?
Junpei, you were right.
Huh?
No matter what happens, you can never lose hope. You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love.
Alright, because we gave her the bookmark that made Santa that Santa hated.
If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck.
It all comes around full circle. Clover reached into her pocket and pulled something out.
That's...
It was a laminated bookmark with a 4-leaf clover.
I only made it here because you gave me this. I was suspicious of everybody. I was angry and miserable. But because I had this 4-leaf clover, because of what you said to me,
Yeah.
Junpei hadn't thought his words would have had such an effect on her. Her words were making him feel a little awkward.
Thank you so much, Junpei.
She looked up at him. He scratched his nose and pretended to notice something interesting somewhere else in the room.
Oh, if you really want to thank somebody, you should be thanking Santa.
Santa? Why?
Ho ho ho! You're welcome.
Well, he was the one who gave me that thing. And the words for each leaf, I got that from him too.
Oh.
Then suddenly, Clover broke away from Junpei.
Huh?
He looked confused. He hadn't thought she'd react that poorly. Clover began to pace across the room. Look at her sprite. It's over there. Now it's over there. 6 steps to the left, 6 steps to the right, another 6 to the left, and then she stopped.
Did Santa really tell you those things?
Her eyes were serious, but not angry.
Yeah, he did. Did I, say something wrong?
Oh no, not at all. In fact, this could be really good news, I think.
You think?
Santa knew about the words and the clover. The only people who should know about that are the other subjects.
Subjects?
The other people who were in the experiment 9 years ago, with my brother and me. But he's blind, and I was part of the Nevada test group. So neither of us would be able to recognize the faces of the people who were on this boat.
Whoa, okay, time out.
Nevada? Junpei held up his hands. He took a deep breath and let it out.
Let's just calm down for a second, okay? Start from the top. Don't start with the end and then jump to the middle.
Yeah, what is this, a visual novel?
You gotta start with 1 and then move to 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. If you don't tell me stuff in the right order, I'm never gonna be able to figure it out.
Okay.
Clover nodded.
Alright, let's start with this experiment. What happened on this boat 9 years ago?
Do you know about
9 years
morphogenetic
ago.
fields?
Of course, doesn't everybody?
Morphogenetic fields.
He did, and the realization sent chills down Junpei's spine.
Alright, how about this? Theory of the telepathic mechanism.
Yes, we
Lotus mentioned something like that.
we just went over this in the last video. Junpei recounted what Lotus had told him earlier. Clover nodded. Thank goodness they didn't go through the whole thing.
Well, that's not really it, but I suppose it's similar.
So they were testing telepathy on this ship?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, what exactly did they have you guys do?
The same thing that we're doing now. Exactly the same thing.
What?
The nonary game. 9 people were put on this boat, and 9 others were put in the building in Nevada, and the game started.
Junpei grabbed the sides of his head.
Look, I'm sorry, but I don't get it. What do the nonary game and some telepathy experiment have to do with each other? Am I missing something here?
Clover bit her lip. She blinked back sudden tears. What had happened to her in Nevada?
The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things.
Oh my god, she was in New Vegas. She was the courier.
The first is epiphany, and the other is danger. You know how sometimes when you're up against a really tough problem, and then the answer just kind of pops in your head? That's an epiphany. And what you learn from the epiphany can be transmitted with telepathy.
Sure.
When you add danger to that equation, then it gets easier to transmit that information over telepathy.
Of course.
So you're saying the nonary game was supposed to introduce that element of danger?
Yeah, but it couldn't be just any old danger. It had to be life and death.
It had to be a really complicated and convoluted death game.
And
They couldn't just, like, point guns at people's heads. It had to be this whole complicated thing.
Someone did actually die. A girl.
Huh.
Junpei felt the sudden grip of despair on his heart. Something deep and distant and powerful squeezed, and for a moment he felt very, very empty and alone.
She was on the boat with my brother. I was in Nevada. I never met her, but I did hear her name. Her name was...
What was it? Just say it. Just say it. The sound of the door opening was like a gunshot. Junpei spun around.
Oh, my apologies. I seem to have disturbed you.
Again, you do that a lot, Ace.
Ace.
You two must have strong stomachs. I can't imagine how you could stay in this room for so long.
Ace glanced down at the floor. At the corpse covered in blood.
At any rate, Junpei, would you be so kind as to come and help me with something?
Ace,
I'm having a little trouble and I could really use your assistance.
You gotta stop plot blocking me, Ace.
Come on, it'll only take a moment.
With that, he turned and walked back toward the communications office. Clover waited until he was out of sight, and spoke in a small, quiet voice. Say the name!
I don't want Ace to hear us. We can talk about this later.
Huh? Hey, wait!
Of course. Clover ignored him. Literally just say one word. Just say the name. From outside, Junpei could hear Ace calling.
Junpei? What are you doing in there? Hurry up!
Grumbling to himself, Junpei stomped off toward the communications office. Okay. Wow, I still have the music box? Okay, there's still one more conversation we need to see, I guess. Alright, okay, I'm just gonna click on stuff until something happens. Small screwdrivers. Okay, there, now we can unlock this, I guess. Screwdriver, music box, the cylinder. Yeah, it's got, it's Morse code. Does drawers have anything? Ink, okay, good, put some ink on that. I guess I'll put the ink on the cylinder. I feel like that he's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Dirty cylinder. Yes, I see. You put ink on the cylinder. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll make the Morse code. You could also just do this by, like, looking at it, right? But whatever. Drawer's the only thing that's locked. I don't see a keyhole. Electronic lock. Yeah, it's got a wire. Yeah. More drawers. We got a paper. Alright, roll the thing on the thing. Yeah, Morse code. Just use suspected. Now you have a pattern of dots and lines. It's Morse code. Alright, and then... Yeah, It's broken. Chair. There's the Morse code thingy. Wait, can we not? Can't use the actual Morse code thing? Wait, there we go. Alright, we got the Morse code. I wonder what that is Morse code for. Oh god, right, we have to actually do it. I mean, actually, I think this wouldn't actually form anything, right? I think this would just be, like, nonsense. Because, like, there have to be, like, breaks in between, right? We did it. I unlocked the drawer. Have I unlocked the plot conversation? I hope so. Yeah, here we go. Red file. Nope, we've seen this. Oh, no. Oh, new? All ice. All ice.
Alice.
Oops, all ice. When you get a drink at the fast food place and they just fill it up with nothing but ice, so you get like only a couple drops of soda. Oops, all ice.
Does this mean...
Junpei couldn't hold back. He had to know what was in that file. Hieroglyphics. Each page was covered with strange characters. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Just the part about him saying all
So
ice. Oh, okay. Now we're back to new stuff. We got a bottom deck library card.
Bottom deck, library. Oh.
You know, having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card. That's what I've heard. Junpei remembered something he heard from Seven when they'd been in the chemical closet. You know.
Said something like.
Oh, he talked about...
A small chamber past the forest of knowledge beneath the navel of the gigantic.
I don't actually remember this conversation. I guess we had it.
Could beneath the navel mean the bottom deck? And the forest of knowledge is the library? Then could Alice be in a room somewhere beyond the library?
What's wrong? Something on your mind?
Junpei blinked. Only then did he notice Ace looking at him, curiosity and concern written across his face in equal parts.
Yeah. I just remembered something.
Is that so? What about?
Well, don't laugh, okay?
There was no reason for Junpei to hide his thoughts, aside from the fact that Ace is a piece of shit. He began to explain his theory to Ace. Then he stopped. It wouldn't make any sense if Ace didn't know who Alice was supposed to be. So he told Ace everything June had told him.
The Egyptian priestess, an Ice 9. Interesting.
And the woman who wouldn't melt, who was recovered from the Titanic disaster? They called her All Ice, which eventually turned into Alice. And she was purchased by an English millionaire who called himself Lord Gordain. According to Seven, this ship is where he hid Alice.
And you think that he hid her in a small room, beyond the library on the bottom deck?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is just a theory.
A game... He stared off into the distance, his hand slowly and absent-mindedly stroking his beard. After a few moments, his hand stopped. He turned slowly to look at Junpei, and his brows drew together.
Junpei, have you ever heard of the term CAS?
Cass?
It stands for Cells Alive System. It is an advanced technology for freezing and preserving organic matter.
Hell yeah.
Put simply, it is a technique that allows one to freeze things without the formation of ice crystals. Normally, if you freeze something fresh, water within its cells expands as it crystallizes, damaging the cell membrane. CAS, however, works differently. The object to be frozen is supercooled using magnetic fields, and then frozen instantly and uniformly, giving ice crystals no time to form.
Of course. Magnetic fields.
It was originally developed for the preservation of food, as an alternative to the normal freezing process. Now, however, there are rumors that it can be used for other things.
What do you mean, other things?
Well, there are obvious medical uses, but perhaps also space travel.
Space travel? Are you serious?
Surely you've heard of suspended animation. Cryogenic freezing? It's a fairly common idea in science fiction books and films. People are sometimes frozen for especially lengthy journeys through space.
That was when Junpei understood what Ace was suggesting.
Whoa, wait a minute there.
Ace looked at him and raised an eyebrow.
Are you saying that Alice was frozen using that CAS thing?
Well, I'm sure the possibility is quite low, but it is a possibility. If this special ice you call Ice 9 does indeed exist, and casts were used to freeze her into that sort of ice instantaneously.
You think she could be alive?
Well, I can't say for sure, of course. I'm only talking about possibilities. The melting point for Ice 9 is 96 degrees, right? If she were put somewhere where she could reach that temperature...
That's nuts. Are you really saying she could have defrosted and started walking about?
You're quite right. It does sound unbelievable. But if she had, then we would have an explanation for the man we found dead on the floor.
Would we?
You mean the guy dressed like a captain?
Yes. He was dead when we found him. Clearly, he was murdered. But if he was murdered, then by whom? It couldn't have been one of us. That would be impossible. In order to enter the captain's quarters, one must first open door 1. That door that requires the Earth key prevented us from accessing door 1. Who was it that opened that door?
Santa and Lotus.
Right. Clearly, the two of them could not have opened door 1, or any other door for that matter. Who else then could have done so?
Junpei thought for a second.
Nobody.
After Santa and Modus used the Earth Key, they turned back and met up with me and June. Then we returned to the large hospital room and found Ace, Seven, and Clover. While we'd gone into the shower room, Ace, Seven, and Clover had stayed behind. But it's impossible for those three to open door 1. But what about when June and I took the elevator to door 2? No, still won't work. We were only gone 5 minutes. No human being could have run to the captain's quarters, killed that guy in there, and run back that fast.
It would be impossible for any of us to be the murderer. That being the case, who could have killed him? Wouldn't it make sense if his killer was someone who had been in the ship for some time? A person like that would know the ship well. They would know the locations of all the hidden passages and secret doors.
That we're just kind of assuming.
The numbered door would mean nothing to someone like that.
Just kind of assuming those exist.
It would be a simple thing for them to enter the captain's quarters.
Then you're saying the killer was Alice?
It was Junpei's turn to raise an eyebrow. Ace drew his thumb across his lips thoughtfully.
Well, this is all only one possible theory.
A game.
All ice. Alice, is she really somewhere on the ship?
Junpei had only one clue. The key card in his hand.
Maybe this card will give me access to the Forest of Knowledge. And the big mystery. What could be there beyond the Forest of Knowledge? Anyway, whatever. It's gonna have to wait. I can't do anything right now. I'll come back to this later.
He gripped the key card tighter and shoved it deep into his pocket. Let's go. Alright, so that should be our other key. So can I just skip the rest of this room? Outside the room. Sounds good. Oh yeah, it's unlocked. Let's go. They stepped out of the captain's quarters and into another hallway. Wow, that room was so easy. We didn't even have to solve any puzzles. The hallway stretched out in front of Junpei for a bit before turning left, like a great backward L.
Alright.
Taking the L. Okay, this is the same so far. Turned around, Clover's never be seen. Okay, this would be the part where she's...
A note.
Oh, okay, it's different. Before it was an X. This time it's a note.
A note?
Yeah, I found it in the pocket of the guy with the captain's clothes. It said something about the darkness of the sinister hand or something.
What the hell? Let me see it.
No, not right.
More fucking riddles and shit. But Junpei wasn't going to get to see it. From the other end of the hall, he heard Ace's voice.
Hey, Junpei, Clover! What are you two doing? Hurry up!
He's getting mad.
Clover shrugged.
I'll show it to you later, alright? Come on, we gotta hurry.
Before Junpei could protest, she was gone. Around the corner and off down the long stem of the L. A note. A note. Junpei was curious. But there was something else that bothered
From
him.
the look of that pocket, it doesn't particularly look like just a note. Jeez, what are you thinking? For crying out loud.
Junpei did his best to convince himself that it would make sense later and ran off after Clover. Junpei pushed through the door and found himself in a large room with a large set of stairs. Okay, this is the same. They reached B deck at the same time? Okay. Oh yeah, are we back at the beginning? Yeah.
Jumpy! Clover!
June's face was excited. Clover, I'm so glad you're here and you don't have an axe and you're not going to kill me with it. Something had happened, that much Junpei could tell by simply looking at her.
What's up?
Given their situation, he was not inclined to be excited about sudden developments. June, however, couldn't contain herself.
We found it!
You found it! We found it, together.
Found what?
The real nonary game was the friends we made along the way.
We found it!
What did you find?
The last door! We found door 9!
What?
I just want to see. At this point, are we now on the other path? We're still here. Well, I guess the only other node is the ending, so...
Come on! Just follow us! We'll explain on the way!
Okay.
Hello, Sabis. Hiya, Papaya. Welcome. We're getting close to the end of 999.
Well, if that's the case...
Wait for me.
We should get going as well.
The rest followed.
Jumpy! We finally made it!
The relief and excitement in her voice echoed what each one of them felt.
Yeah, it's finally time.
Junpei wasn't quite ready to believe they'd really done it, at least not just yet. Still, if everyone said that it was door 9, then it probably was. Unless it's 6 upside down.
We've reached the end.
He could feel his heart racing. A mixture of anticipation and fear ran through his veins, and he could feel his legs shaking. He was doing his best to maintain a sense of healthy skepticism, but he couldn't deny that the prospect of escape was an exciting one.
Something's bothering me. Only 3 to 5 people can go through the numbered door. 7 of us are on our way to door 9. That means that, best case scenario, there will be 2 of us who have to stay behind. 2 people. Is there a way?
Junpei looked over at the clock.
4:30. We've only got 90 minutes left. I've got no time to wonder about it now.
Hey, Junpei! June! What the hell are you two doing? Hurry it up!
Santa's voice jolted Junpei out of his reverie.
Let's go, Jumpy!
You're saying to find close to the end, just joking. 2 streams when we finish, or I might be gaslighting you, or I might not. Yeah, I mean, it just depends. We're at least on the path to the ending. Just depends on exactly how much text we have to get there.
Yeah.
Junpei followed. Look at all these places, all these memories. Good old C deck. As a group, they piled onto the elevator and rode impatiently down to E deck. It looked familiar. There was a metal grate between the 2 elevators. 7 grabbed hold of it and began to talk.
I know I told you I'd explain it earlier, but honestly, there ain't much to explain. After we split off from you guys, the 4 of us got into the elevator on the left, and that took us to the other side of the grate. After that, we headed down another hallway. It took us toward the bow, and eventually to the number 6 that you 2 found earlier. We opened it and kept going. There was another locked door behind it, like usual, but this time we had to complete 2 different areas before we could unlock it. Once we were through that door, there was another hallway that went the other direction, toward the stern.
So, on your way, you found the elevator.
That's right.
So, in other words, you kinda did a lap, huh? You came from that side to this side.
Yeah.
With that settled, Junpei looked around.
So, where's the number 9 door?
Over here. Follow me.
7 began walking down the hallway that led toward the stern. Junpei and the others broke into a jog to keep up with them.
By the way,
They had been walking for a while, June in silent step with Junpei when she spoke.
you know, it's because of Santa that we're all here right now.
Huh?
That all 7 of us are going to door 9.
What?
You don't get it? Santa, 7, and Lotus. What's their digital route?
It's 9.
9. It's 9.
That's right. They could have just left me behind and kept going if they'd wanted to.
But they didn't.
Yes, because Santa wouldn't let them.
Aww. We're
He
all
said,
friends.
"You can't leave June and the others behind." That's why we went looking for you guys.
And then you got on the elevator and went back to the central staircase.
That's right.
Truly, the Zero Escape was the friends we made along the way.
Well, I wouldn't have called that one. that Santa would be the one to stick up for you. I mean...
Junpei felt his eyebrows knit as he considered that.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Perhaps June had sensed Junpei's concern.
I don't mean that Seven and Lotus said they wanted to leave me behind. We were just talking about it, and Santa objected to it first.
Is that so?
Junpei was about to respond when... Seven suddenly stopped.
We're here.
In front of them stood a door.
So, is this...
Yeah.
Junpei couldn't see Seven's face, but he could see him nod.
There's no other place for us to go.
Nope. Just look around. There's a big old iron wall at the end of the hallway. The other hallways on the left and right are blocked by metal grates.
I see.
It looked as though Seven was right. The door in front of them was their only choice.
Alright, let's get moving.
He pulled open the door and walked in. Junpei took a deep breath and followed. It appeared they'd been telling the truth.
No way.
The first thing Junpei saw as he entered the room was the number. 9. Like all the others, it was a rough thing made of red paint. Thanks for the posture check. Let me... Alright. The door it decorated sat on the back wall of a rectangular room. Junpei ran up to it.
The 9 door.
It was a large double door with powerful styling. Oh, and again, thanks for the hydrate. This style is so powerful. Something about it was almost majestic, and it made the red paint look especially garish.
We're finally here.
Let me just look at something. Okay. Junpei grabbed the handle and shook. It didn't budge, but then he hadn't really expected it to. The red was bolted to the wall next to the door. Its display read vacant.
No doubt about it. This is door 9. Oh, finally! This is the last.
Junpei felt a flood of emotion wash over him. He felt a chill down his back, and his chest tightened even as his blood began to boil. There was a moment of complete silence.
Junpei, look behind you.
He turned around.
Behind? What?
Junpei could scarcely believe what he saw.
Why? A door and a 9. There's another one.
Hey, what the hell? What the hell is going on here?
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them. His words came slowly, and his brain struggled to understand what he'd seen. On shaky legs, he made his way to the second 9. It was a small door, set parallel to the door they'd come through, but in the other corner of the room. 9. There was no mistaking the number, and if any more proof was needed, a red was bolted to the wall near the door.
There's a red there too. That means... And of course it won't open.
He grabbed the handle and shook the door, not because he expected it to open, but because he had to make sure it was real.
But why? Why the hell are there 2 doors?
Yeah, make sure it's not like, you know, in video games when they just kind of put like fake doors in like walls to just make it seem more real, but it's just like a texture on the wall. It's always like, oh, is this a door? Oh, no. It was Ace who spoke first.
Do you think perhaps one is the right door and the other is the wrong one?
Lotus was skeptical.
I don't know about that. It seems unlikely.
Yeah?
What makes you say so?
Well, think about all the rooms we've been through so far.
Wait, Headwaters finding the secret door? This door wasn't real. It doesn't even have a handle. Yeah. That's always how you know. Like, oh, I don't get an interaction prompt when I look at this door.
They're full of puzzles, but there are always hints about how to solve them. I'm pretty sure there aren't any rooms where we just had to go with our best guess and leave it to instinct to solve the puzzle. Do you really think that at the very end of the game, Zero's going to suddenly throw in something that depends entirely on luck?
Then you're saying there's some sort of hint in this room.
No, I don't think there's a hint anywhere in here.
I searched it very well when I was in here before. I didn't find anything that might have been a hint, though.
Oh, head pets. I was wondering what you meant by headwaters. There you go. I just saw the head pet ready. Thank you.
Well then, that means...
Yeah, both of these are the right door. I mean, if you think about it, Zero never actually said there was only one door with a 9 on it.
It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9.
Junpei began to mutter to himself.
So if there are 2 number 9 doors, if we split it up, right?
That's not gonna work.
Junpei blinked and looked up at Clover. She held out her hand. Oh, I'm just gonna save some of my screenshots. There we go.
You've got a notebook and a pen, right? Can I borrow them?
Yeah, here.
Slightly confused, he pulled them out and handed them to her.
Look at this.
So, oh. Clover opened the notebook to a blank page and set it down on the desk. Everyone else gathered around her and watched as she wrote down a series of numbers. Yeah.
Get it?
Get it? Totally,
The numbers on the top are all the combinations with digital roots of 9. The numbers on the bottom are the people who don't fit. There's only 8 possibilities if we split up into 2 groups of 3 or 4 people. So...
If 3 people go through the door, then 4 are left behind. If 4 go through, then 3 are left behind, right?
Yeah.
Clover nodded, almost as if she were pleased with herself for solving a difficult math problem.
No way.
The room went very quiet. Silence lay across everyone like a thick, heavy blanket. No one spoke. Their faces were blank.
Come to think of it.
Desperate for something else to look at, Junpei turned his eyes to the room around him.
What is this room?
The walls were covered with candles. The wavering flame made the shadows of Junpei and his companions look as though they were dancing. Also because they were dancing. 2 rows of wooden pews filled most of the room.
It looks like it's set up for some kind of ceremony. But what kind?
Between them was a strip of rich red carpet. The carpet ran straight through the room, ending at the door that pointed to the stern of the boat. Oh, him and June are going to get married. At the other end of the carpet. Oh, never mind.
Is that an altar?
Here, maybe get a screenshot of that real quick. It was a recessed space set into the wall between the 2 other doors. Sitting on a raised section of the altar was a coffin. A coffin. A coffin.
A coffin?
A coffin.
No, it couldn't possibly be.
Me when I have something stuck in my throat, I'm a coffin. But if it wasn't, then whose body occupied it? That was as far as Junpei wanted to pursue that line of thought. He decided not to think about the coffin for the time being. I think maybe we should think about the coffin, because we know who's in there. At that moment, Seven spoke. There was an edge of humor to his voice, but it was forced.
Okay, I give up. I give up. I figured if we sat around here long enough, someone would volunteer. But I guess nobody's got the guts to do it.
What are you talking about?
Junpei didn't understand, and he wasn't the only one.
What? You guys didn't figure it out yet? Fine, let me enlighten you. Clover was mostly right with her little explanation earlier, but she missed something. She wasn't really wrong, she just... screw it! Let me just write it out.
Seven snatched up the notebook and began to write in it. Everyone else clustered around him, desperate for a look.
If you're trying to leave with a group of 3 and a group of 4 and get everybody out, Clover's right. But there's another way. Only one combination, though. If you split us up into groups of 3, 3, and 1, you can make this combination.
Wait, this means...
Don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to copy Ace or anything like that. Even if he hadn't been the hero back in the big hospital room, I'd still be saying the same thing.
The same thing? Are you saying?
Yeah, I am. I'll stay behind.
Huh.
Why are you acting so heroic all of a sudden? Are you some kind of idiot?
Lotus was the first to speak. That in itself was a little strange. She'd reacted much differently when Ace had volunteered.
No, I'm completely against this. I'll be goddamned if I'm gonna have to owe you for getting out of here.
The rest of them began to speak all at once.
I'm against it too. I didn't want to leave Ace behind, and I don't want to leave you either.
I don't like that idea. There's gotta be other options.
Sure we can't leave Ace behind again? Just throwing that. They don't know in this timeline, though.
I disagree as well. I can't say I care much for you being the hero.
Finally, they quieted down. Junpei looked at Seven.
Well, there you go, Seven. Proposal denied. Clover's right. There's gotta be a better way than this.
Seven made some noise that was somewhere between a derisive snort and a cough. Yeah, they need to get, based on our knowledge of other timelines, like, we got Snake in the coffin. We need to get him out. Actually, wait, no, right, he does have a bracelet on, but he can remove it if he needs to with his, since it's on his prosthetic arm. And then can get the 0 bracelet from the captain in the captain's quarters, can get the number 9 bracelet from the number 9 guy. There's so many options here. If only they knew.
Doesn't make any sense.
He was doing his best to pretend they were making a foolish decision, but Junpei could see the twinkling of water at the corner of Seven's eyes. That was when Santa spoke.
Whoa,
Merry...
I haven't said anything yet.
Until then, Junpei hadn't realized that Santa had stayed quiet for the whole discussion of Seven's fate. Something in his voice made Junpei uncomfortable.
Are you... agreeing? You want to leave him here?
I mean, to be fair, if it was the only option, it would be like, yeah, you know, if we can't figure anything else out, we should at least consider it. Santa shook his head.
Nah, I'm against it. I don't want to leave Seven here alone.
Oh, okay.
Then I don't see how it matters.
I said alone.
Huh?
I said I don't want to leave Seven alone.
There was a dull shine in Santa's eyes. They were cold and hard. Junpei felt himself shiver.
What the hell are you...
What? You don't get it? I can't leave just one person. I need 2 more.
Huh?
3 people, including Seven. I'll be leaving behind 3 people.
Uh-huh.
That's my proposal. No. Those are my orders.
What?
What do you mean, orders? What the hell makes you think you can order us around? Who the hell's gonna listen to you?
You all will. In 3 seconds, you won't have a choice.
Eh?
What?
3, 2, 1.
Santa was so fast, Junpei could barely see him. When he moved, it was almost like watching a dance. His feet moving like lightning. He spun and... Oh my god. He had June. Oh, you got a screenshot of that.
I told you.
Evil Santa. More like Krampus. His lips curled into a cruel, mocking smile.
Huh? What?
A shudder traveled the length of Junpei's spine. His chest froze and he could feel his breath go stale in his lungs. Nothing made sense. Junpei felt as though his head were about to explode. I'm just gonna save that. Santa's sudden change in attitude, saying that he needed 2 more. the gun in his right hand, a revolver. Santa had grabbed June from behind and pressed what Junpei's shaken brain identified as a revolver, roughly against her temple.
Why? What the hell is that?
Where on earth had Santa possibly found a gun? Yeah, we didn't go through that room in this timeline. Junpei's question roared in his mind, but his mouth refused to ask them. Seven spoke, almost as though he had sensed Junpei's confusion.
The gun's from the other room. What room? One of the rooms behind door 6. I should have known he was gonna do this. I should have taken the gun.
Well, it's too late now, fat ass.
Damn it!
A mixture of fury and frustration twisted Seven's face, and he glared at Santa. Santa, for his part, didn't so much as flinch. The corner of his lip twitched into a slightly wider smile. Then the smile faded, and he began to move. He walked backward, dragging June with him. Before long, his back was resting against the door. On the wall next to him was the red. He put his hand on the scanner panel quickly, and then forced June to do the same.
Now, time for you to start following my orders. Ace, Lotus, congratulations! I've chosen you to come with me. Put your hands in the red.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you deaf? I gave you an order.
Santa's eyes narrowed to slits. He glared at Ace and Lotus. They stayed frozen like deer caught in the headlights of an oncoming car.
Right, fine. I didn't want to waste any bullets, but you guys just don't get it.
No sooner were the words out of Santa's mouth than his hand twitched, and the gun roared. A section of the floor exploded, scattering wooden splinters across the floor. A thin plume of smoke snaked out of the hole in the floor. There could be no doubt that the gun was real, and worked.
He really shot it? But why? Santa, why are you...
Also, June is deaf now, since he just fired it, like, right next to her ear. Clover's voice spoke of betrayal and disbelief.
Santa, I thought
Oh.
you were one of us. I thought we were friends.
Thanks for the head pats. I need to be comforted in this stressful situation.
What?
You knew about the leaf words and the four-leaf clover.
Santa's cheek twitched, almost imperceptibly.
What the hell is that shit? I've got no idea.
You're lying.
Shut up. Just shut up, you stupid bitch. You want me to put a bullet in your fucking head?
Flecks of spit flew from Santa's mouth, his face twisted with rage. Clover recoiled, her eyes wide. When she spoke, her voice was very small.
Santa.
He snorted, then shook his head vigorously and turned to face Ace and Lotus.
Alright, assholes. What are you still standing there for? Get over here and scan those bracelets. I don't have all day. Oh, what's the matter? Your hearing's starting to go? Going senile, maybe?
Ace and Lotus still didn't move. It almost seemed as if they couldn't move. June's face was pale behind Santa's arm. Her eyes were wild and her chest heaved with every quick breath, like an animal cornered by a predator. Junpei's mind worked furiously. What were they going to do? Then he realized something. There was nothing they needed to do. There was nothing to debate.
That's it.
June's safety was the first priority. That much was obvious. Doing as Santa had commanded meant that she would be safe from at least 2 threats. She wouldn't be shot, and she would leave the ship alive, along with Santa, Ace, and Lotus. There was only one thing for Junpei to do.
It's the only way.
He turned to Ace and Lotus.
Please, go.
Huh?
No way.
Jumpy, what are you saying? If you stay here, you're going to be stuck, Jumpy. And so will Clover and Seven.
I know, but you don't need to worry about us. We'll figure something out. Right, Seven?
Right. You just leave it to us. It's gonna piss me off to do what Santa says, but...
Don't worry about me either. There's still something I have to take care of.
No, no! You can't! Ace, Lotus, don't come over! Don't worry about me! Please!
June was almost crying. Junpei walked around behind Ace and Lotus. He gently placed a hand on each of their shoulders.
Please.
And pushed them toward the door. They almost stumbled, then righted themselves and took another step, and another. They turned around and Junpei nodded.
Go.
All right.
Fine.
Ace and Lotus turned around again and walked slowly toward the door where Santa was waiting for them. After what seemed like an eternity, they stopped in front of the door marked 9. Santa smiled.
Alright, now let's get those hands in the scanner panel. What's the holdup? What? You think I'm fucking around here? I don't give a shit about this girl. The red doesn't need a person, you know? All I need is the bracelet. You get it? Good. Now put your fucking hands on the scanner. I'm not gonna say it again.
He shoved the revolver harder against June's head, and she winced.
Fine.
Ace sighed, defeated, and placed his hand on the scanner panel. Lotus went next. Lotus glared at Santa and slammed her hand onto the scanner panel. The 4th asterisk blinked on.
Good job. Now, Lotus, pull that lever. Soon as the door opens, you get your ass in there. Try anything stupid, and you know what happens, right?
Damn it.
Junpei could almost hear Lotus's teeth grind. The door slid open. Door number 9 opened at last. It opened with a low, powerful rumble, a drum roll to welcome the chosen few.
Good. Go.
Lotus and Ace walked through the door, their eyes furious but defeated. Santa waited until they were all the way inside, then hauled himself and June across the threshold as well. 6, 7, 8.
Later.
After exactly 9 seconds, the door swung shut. The gust of air it created caused the candles on the altar to flicker and die. The room fell silent. Junpei, Clover, and 7 had been left behind. Clover looked down at her hand and traced with her finger the faint blue lines that crisscrossed veins that crisscrossed them. 7 shoved his arms into the front of his overalls and scratched his stomach. No one spoke. Silence made the air feel thick and oppressive. Desperate for something, anything to occupy his mind, Junpei walked to the larger of the 2 9 doors. He stood in front of it and looked at the red. It read engaged. Let me, hold on a second. This is the moment where you would get the to be continued. Actually, wait, wouldn't it happen in a little bit longer? We'll see. Engaged. He moved to the smaller door. The red, vacant. The digital root of the remaining people was 7. 547. There was no possible way for them to open a door with 9 on it. Junpei touched the surface of the door.
June.
He thought about June, about Akane Kurashiki. Was she safe? That was all that mattered to him. If she was alive, if she had escaped this horrible boat, that was what Junpei prayed for. 7 came up next to him. He pulled off his hat, scratched his head, and sighed.
So, what do you want to do, Junpei?
What do you mean, what do I want to do? What can we do?
Seven opened his mouth to respond when... There we go. A noise echoed through the room. Someone was pounding on something vigorously. It wasn't mechanical, it was certainly human. Junpei and Seven looked at one another.
What the hell is that?
And, no, I'm not playing this blind. I have seen this before, but it has been a long time. Like, I saw it originally on the DS. So this is my first time playing through it in this, like, remastered version.
Shh, quiet.
Clover motioned to Seven to be quiet. She put one finger to her lips and closed her eyes in concentration. Who is it? Housekeeping. The three of them listened, trying to determine where the sound was coming from.
Where is it coming from?
There we go.
Could it be?
Let me see. Did I already have, Let me get here. Kind of like this. Better for the the screenshot. Oh, wait.
Hey, I think it's coming from this coffin.
You're right.
Let's open it.
But how?
What are those muscles for? For show?
You're telling me to force it open?
Just shut up and try!
Junpei and Seven grabbed hold of the coffin. They tried to get a good grip with what little purchase they could find, and pulled with all their strength.
Damn it!
Man, it won't even budge.
And Iken, you said you sometimes miss the DS. I feel like we could do cool things with dual screens using more modern processors. Yeah, I remember I was kind of thinking when people were talking about like the Switch 2 and stuff, I was going to say, what if the Switch 2 was like, it has two screens? What if they just made the DS again? But nah. There was some sort of keypad attached to the coffin. Its purpose would not have been difficult to determine. Their eyes were almost immediately drawn to it.
Not another one.
Yeah, looks like it.
Do you think we have to put in the right password or it won't open?
I think so.
The noise wasn't stopping. In fact, it was getting louder.
Whoever or whatever's inside this thing wants out. And now.
I know that. But how?
Without a passcode, I don't think there's much we can do.
They couldn't even tell how many numbers the passcode needed to be.
Isn't there a hint somewhere?
Well, let's look for one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Unfortunately, there didn't seem to be anything near the coffin. I want to like look. Oh yeah, we're at coffin. Because also for people who haven't seen the game before, it is possible to get to this ending the first time that you play, but it ends right here at the coffin, where they're like, we can't find... I guess we're probably going to see it. I'm not sure exactly how the game is going to handle it, if it's just going to, like, skip or whatever. But, like, normally the game would end and you would get the coffin ending. But because we have done the safe ending, or I guess it's called Zero Lost, because we've done that ending, now we're actually going to get the true ending.
There's nothing here.
Not making this easy, are they?
The sound still wouldn't stop. Oh, and I just saw the other thing you said. You could so do that, though. Like, what if the second screen can be turned back like those tablet laptops, right? Yeah, I feel like that was a missed opportunity to have the Switch 2 have two screens, because it has the two right there, you know? It could be called the two screen. I don't know.
What's the passcode? What am I supposed to do? How can we figure it out? I need something.
The world blinked. Okay, this must be the point. Oh. Suddenly, there was a voice inside of Junpei's head. Truth had gone, and truth had gone. Ah, now truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand.
Wait, what? What the hell was that? That voice?
Junpei was utterly and completely baffled.
Huh? What?
Bamboozled, even.
What's up?
Seven and Clover ran over to him, but Junpei didn't know what to tell them.
Huh?
If he told them he'd heard a voice, they'd laugh, or worse, think he was going insane. So all he said was...
Oh, nothing.
He cleared his throat a little too loud and looked pointedly down at his bracelet. There were a pair of small buttons protruding from either side of it. Junpei. He pressed the buttons. Yeah, truth had gone, and truth had gone, yeah.